Prez was born on a golf course.
Well, Mr. Stubbe would just drop him off on a golf course and just let him do his thing.
Yeah. You know, that's how all pros...
If I didn't rake a bunker, he'd beat me.
That's how all pros... That's how all their stories are.
Yeah.
My parents dropped me off at a golf course at 7 a.m. They picked me up at 7 p.m. And I'm on tour
all
now.
The pros and me.
Do you know how many stories I've heard about that with Xander Schauffele?
Yeah.
That, like, Xander Schauffele has played every single... They'll be like, yeah, man, Xander used to come here all the time as a little boy. It's like, man, how many courses was he going to?
Xander Schauffele is San Diego.
Yeah. Anywhere in California, Xander Schauffele grew up there.
He was somehow at, like, 3 courses at one time every morning.
Yes.
Ticket, are we live?
What happened? He just bailed? He pulled a Jason Kokrak?
I don't blame him.
I don't either.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back. Another edition here of Bob Does Sports. Our beloved Giuseppe D is up north right now in Canada doing what Canadians do. Tim Hortons, hockey, Barry Melrose.
Chinese food
Apparently. But we have Binyam and Chicker here. We do have the Jet.
I'm here.
Happy to be here. Fat Perez as well.
Hi.
And I woke up Jet this morning, came on downstairs, I opened the door, and right away he just screams from the basement. He's like, no, because he knew.
I know that move. I know that move.
He knew the wake up was coming.
Yeah.
He knew the wake up was coming for me, and then I get downstairs and he says something that made no sense to me at all. He goes, I'm too old for this shit. I'm like, Jet, it's 9:30 in the morning.
Up? Too old for waking up?
What did you mean by that?
This has been a long trip.
Yes, it has.
A long August. Today's the last day of the August tour.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to go home.
yeah. But I will say, I think Atlanta was very good to us. I really, I thought it was a lot of fun.
We had a great time.
We were at the tournament all week, which was spectacular. Tour championship. PGA really kind of let us roam wild. And really just a lot of fun. The thing for me, one of my favorite things going back to the Jet going full send at the bar the other night was one of the more epic. Yeah, even like I put on my Instagram, people were shocked to see how happy that you were. And you were, Jet. I mean, you really let it all go.
Yeah. Here's the thing. It's true. We did. We had a great time.
Yeah.
But we know, I mean, listen, Bob likes to portray me as some psycho who has, who hates everybody, which is true.
Partially true.
Which is true.
Thank you.
But also, we can go out and we have a fucking good time. Now, we went to Hal's Best Magic Show in Atlanta.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
then...
got my mind putting a pretzel by that guy.
And then after, this was last night? 2 nights ago?
Two nights ago.
So we filmed at the PGA in Atlanta the first day. Then we went to Hal's, steakhouse / Magic House. And then we went to... Johnny's
Hideaway.
Yeah. Johnny's Hideaway, which thinks it's 1978 still.
Yeah.
And we're sitting in there, and the drinks did not stop coming out.
They kept going. It was all coming from the faithful, too.
It was, which is love. I mean, their shots were double shots for sure. And it was just like, at one point you look at the table, there's like 3 buckets of beer and like 8 tequila shots that like aren't spoken.
But also, I mean, Bob was making, and fans were coming over, and it was like, if you want to come over, you have to buy the Jet a drink. Like, that's what it turned into.
Yeah.
And it was horrible and great at the same time. Also, the shots were in like wine glasses filled halfway up. So it was, it was just a great night. I would say it was a great night.
Anytime the fans would come over, they would come by, we were having fun with them, and the only thing I would ask them, I would just be like, just do me a favor, make sure you get the Jet wasted tonight. Like, all I want is the Jet to get fucking
Even
wrecked
Max
tonight.
Homa came over.
Yeah, Max Homa look-alike. Yeah,
The Walmart Max Homa.
Yeah.
We were sauced, and I mean, something that just popped on the story, which is one of my favorite things to do in the morning, and I'm sorry on your behalf, Fat Perez, walking in to, I feel like I go around the house and wake everybody up. Walking in to wake Fat Perez up, especially after a night of drinking, to me is one of my favorite things in the world to do. Like, just the buildup of going to open up the door and see what's going on in there is truly tremendous.
I'm glad you enjoy it, because it's fucking miserable. It's a man going through hell.
Yeah,
it has nobody to blame but himself. So I want to just disappear into the bed, but I never can.
It truly is terrific. But yeah, I mean, look, we let it all we let it all go out there. And those shots, what Jet means in regards to the Magic House is it was actually a steakhouse, and some out of nowhere, a normal steakhouse. It wasn't like a Magic Castle type medieval
nice
type
place.
shit.
No.
Very nice place. The magician comes over and of course comes right at Fat Perez. Like, that's what I find funny too. The fact that he knew to come right at Fat Perez to me was hysterical.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna fuck with this kid.
Yeah, and he did.
He did.
He did
sure
exactly that.
He was good too, though.
He was
Perez
really good.
he had Perez in a pretzel for a little bit.
He was
Yeah,
good.
he
I mean,
was.
let's
He was
be
a little-
honest. He
yeah.
had us all in a pretzel.
He did. Yeah, 100%.
He wasn't just doing like card tricks where it was like, oh, there's my card, and like, why is it across the room? But it was like, he'd like fake mess up, and you'd be like, oh, he fucked this one up. And
Yeah,
it'd
I
be
felt
like,
bad
and it'd be
for
like, you'd be like, Jet, check under your napkin, and then it'd be like my card. Just like, what the fuck's going on right now?
The only thing that we were talking about though yesterday with that guy who being a magician at a steakhouse, like, what if you're having a bad day? You know what I mean? Like, what if you just got some bad news and like you got to be on all the time?
I think that guy has his love of the game exceeds everything else. So he's like, they're like, sir, something horrific had happened, and he's like, yeah, but I got magic to do. So he lines him up. He looks in the
like
mirror. He
he's
says
like the
David
Max
Blaine
Scherzer.
3 times, and he gets out there and rocks our world.
It's like the Max Scherzer of magicians.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
He's
exactly.
in the
what it is.
hospital, but
Yeah.
it's like, I'll get there.
That's
Yeah.
absolutely
I gotta
what it
go.
is.
I gotta go 6 scoreless against the Angels.
Yeah, I think it was Keith. They're like, Keith, your aunt just passed away. Yes, but what's behind your ear? It's going to be a 6 of spades. Do you see the?
Was that your card? Oh, it wasn't? Jet, open your mouth and pull out the 7 of clubs. If that was your card, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then something that was terrific at that night, again, it really was. I mean, we kind of forgot what day of the week it is, which really goes to show that things are really going good. Because there was a time where I looked at us at the bar, like when we were really going and vibes were really at its peak. I said, I can't believe it's a Wednesday right now. But at the steakhouse, walking into the bathroom, Perez is pissing and a fan noticed him, so I'm taking a shit. And then all of a sudden you're, oh my God, Fat Perez.
Yeah. Got my shaft in my hand. Just fucking like, oh, that's Fat Perez. I go, I just give me a second, Bo. And he's like, I'm here with clients, man. Like, what are you doing here? I was like, I don't know. Probably eating. I was like, it's good to see you, man. He's like, you know, what do you had for dinner? And like, I'm not a big steak guy, but I know I'm in a steakhouse. So I was like, you know, you come to house, you got to get a steak, right? And he's like, which cut? And I was like, oh, fuck, I wasn't ready for this.
Yeah, he doubled down on
He
the
doubled
cut.
down. I just thought that would be the end of it. And he just was like, what cut you get? And I was like, oh. It's like, and I like remember one of the guys that we were with got the bone-in 22-ounce ribeye. So I was like, I got the ribeye. He's like, which one? I go, bone-in, 22-ounce.
Did you hear me laughing from the
I heard you.
shitter?
Yeah, you were chuckling. He's like, where are the boys at? And I wanted to go like with everything in my power. I wanted to go like, well, Bob's dropping a fucking deuce about 3 feet from us, laughing at me.
Yeah.
It's like, but I was, you know, I've got a little bit more couth about me.
Yeah.
So I let you shit in peace.
Asking somebody, saying what up to somebody in the bathroom is one thing. Asking them what cut they got is just next level that you'll only get at house.
Yeah, and I wasn't ready for it.
I
at
wasn't
all.
either when I heard the story.
He did say that though. He was like, Perez did say that. You know, when you come to house, you do got to get the steaks.
Absolutely
The
did not get a
first
steak.
time, he had no idea where.
No.
First time being in Atlanta, probably just no idea. And it's like he had the 22-ounce ribeye thing planned out.
Bone in.
Oh, I sure didn't. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, well, he cut him off guard, but he's just like 22-ounce ribeye. So the rest of the night, it's like, what do you want to drink? 22-ounce ribeye. Win that house, and then the Max Homa look-alike. People actually thought that was Max Homa.
I had multiple of my friends DM'd me like, holy shit, you're with Max Homa, and I confirmed it was him to all of them.
Yeah,
I would.
And honestly, the more I looked at the time, it was just a guy in a mustache. It didn't necessarily look like Max Homa, but if you looked a little deeper into it, you could see how some random person would think it's
sure.
Max Homa. And then Max Homa reposted it on his story. Bob tagged me,
I
reposted
immediately DM'd him. I was like, I was like with the guy. I took a picture with the guy. I was like, it's really cool chilling with you tonight, Max. And he gets back to me. He's like, that guy just looks like he got out of jail like 10 minutes ago. And I was like, oh yeah, I should have realized when he asked to use my phone.
I'll tell you
5 minutes in.
The Fat Perez Max Homa bond is one of my favorite things.
Yeah. It's good people.
It's such a good pairing. Yeah, it really, really is. I tell you what, though, our fans, there's nobody better. I mean, if you were to look at our table and the amount of drinks that we had,
we left a lot there. When we left. I mean, we left.
They were sending you
dozens of drinks.
There was a time where there was buckets of Miller Lights coming your way.
Well, they started by buying me a Miller Lite, and then it started like buying me a drink was buying me a bucket of 4 Miller Lights.
Yeah,
that was like the equivalent of a tequila shot, and I was just like, it's like, guys, like, I'll drink all this, I will, but you got to give me some time.
I don't want to.
Yeah, I feel like yes, I feel like I owe it to him.
Yeah. And he just really let it all go. It was one hell of a time, to say the least. And then, something that was really big for us and something that I've wanted to do for a long time. I don't know when this episode is going to release and if we would have seen it or not. But the PGA stepped up and they let me and Fat Perez in the media room, in the media tent, which we all know we had no business being in, to ask Jordan Spieth a question, who really has become a friend of the pod now.
Confirmed friend of the show, yep.
And again, I don't even know if we could play it yet.
You can talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, asking Jordan Spieth, I think, a question was awesome, and I think he knew, because I said to him, I'll see you at the 2 o'clock presser.
Yeah. And he was like, we got to watch out for that guy. Yeah. He kind of knew something was coming. Like, geez, was also, too, clown's gonna ask me.
In the media tents, like, these guys take this so seriously. And then you have me and Perez, like, they really take it seriously, and good on them. But then you have me and Perez with our Bagel with Locks bucket hats in there. Perez has got a tall boy in front of him, as did I, which they took.
They did. I think the tour noticed that we had beers in front of us in the media tent, which is probably a massive no-no. Like, correct. I don't think you're supposed to be drinking on the job like that. I mean, we do, but our little like liaison just like came over and was like, I'm gonna grab these, and just like took our beers immediately. When it was over, she brought them back.
Yeah, which was very nice. Yeah,
they were like they seemed colder too. I think she put them in the fridge for us, but it was ridiculous.
It was also like it was a big day on the tour. They had just come out with some new new like policy after Live, and all the questions were like, it's like real reporters. They're like, what is the Live tour like, the competition aspect and all this stuff, and then they're like, let's go to Bob Does Sports and Fat Perez in the right corner.
Bob Does Sports.
And then
I think Alan Shipnick asked a question right before us, like a series of questions that like he's sitting there typing on his laptop, and it's just sort of like, we're gonna follow this up, aren't we? We're gonna be those guys.
It was so great too, because I botched the first sentence, and it actually kind of made it funnier. Where I said, "I'm here on behalf of my colleague Fat Perez,"
who's sitting right
as if it was his question, but he was too scared to ask,
or that I wasn't there. But I'm sitting right next. I'm here on behalf of Fat Perez. Hey, Jordan.
Yeah, and then I just handed the mic, and then Perez just goes, "Hey, Jordan." Yeah, and then we just got in the question, but. And I want to get into that PGA thing because I kind of want to understand more of it, that announcement that they had made. But the biggest thing of it all, Jordan Spieth dropping the could be the difference at the end of the question. To me, I mean, how good of a sentence was that for the brand?
I mean,
how good
can't be a coincidence.
No,
it's impossible for that to have been a coincidence.
No, you saw the wheels turning on the press conference, because if you watch on the PGA feed or whatever, when you asked it, he starts smiling, and then you see the wheels starting to turn in his head, and he's like, "All right, here we go."
He took a moment where he really kind of dissected the question. He's like, all right, how am I going to answer it? And it's almost like he put together, he knew that could be the difference was going to be coming at the end.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. He there's no way that was just an accident. Or he's just a super intelligent guy that just threw that together in a moment.
Yeah.
It could be.
It really was. It was terrific. But yeah, before we asked it, because we knew it was going to be a ridiculous question, before we asked the question, we waited at the perfect time because some reporter asked a live question, and I get that the live questions have to come out.
Yeah.
But it was the dumbest live question of all time. He said, he said, "Hey Jordan, what's the latest update with live?" It's like, what is he gonna look
as if he's Greg Norman?
Which is the most broad question of all time to like a player. Like if you ask like Jay Monahan that question, you could sort of understand
Right,
the context.
exactly.
But it's like, yes, Jordan Spieth, and he's like, I don't know, like I'm not joining it. Like that's what update do you think I have?
What is he gonna say?
Actually, we've added 6 events in the last hour. We're going to Maples next week.
Bizarre.
Yeah, so we kind of just tapped each other. We were just like right after that came, we knew we're like, okay, now's the time to ask the question. So yeah, I mean that was awesome. Perez, I don't know how much you know about it, but I'm actually curious. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. Obviously, the PGA had to do something to kind of clap back at Liv. And they did to their degree, which is good. It's good to see some fight. Again, they had to make a change. Do you understand, or could you explain to the listeners who don't know kind of what this format is?
I haven't looked at it too much, but it seems like there's almost like a however many event series. Is it 10?
20.
20. So 20 events throughout the year that are for kind of the top players that I think there's either basically that they have to play. So Jordan was kind of talking about it where, you know, he every year he has to kind of like figure out his schedule, and you know, sometimes he wishes it just was kind of provided to him so he doesn't have to like make the choice between tournaments and explain why he's not playing certain places. So I think there's certain events that these guys have to play if they're, you know, at some world ranking, which is great. I mean, I think that it make, like, you know, kind of like what he was saying, it makes it easier for the players, and also when it comes to sponsors and stuff like that, I mean, you're guaranteed, if you're a sponsor for that event, to have the best players on tour playing there. Where, you know, if you're kind of thinking about doing advertising at, you know, a mid-level event during the year, you're kind of rolling the dice on if big names are going to drop out. So the sponsors know they're going to get their money's worth. The players are going to kind of have some guaranteed events and income. I saw something about $5,000.
Yeah,
miscuts.
Miscuts. Yeah.
So that's good to give
I
those
think it's
guys.
for one. If you're in, I'm not fully. I read a little about it. If you're in like 126 to like 200 or something, or if you're outside the top 125, I think you get that 5,000 for the miscut.
But
And then also,
yeah,
they were talking about at the end of the year. Again, not 100% sure if this is true, but from my understanding, if you don't make $500,000 in the year, they will cover the like they will pay you the rest to get you to 500,000.
Are you serious?
I believe that's what I read. I'm gonna have to look.
Well, you know, we talked about it on previous podcasts, and it is true. And then somebody said the other day that I was thinking about, when you factor in, and that 5,000 kind of takes care of their travel, but when you factor in, if you are missing cuts, that you got to pay for the travel,
caddy,
you get taxed, you got to pay 10% for the caddy. When you think about all of that from a financial, but not that anybody really feels bad for them, they're making a ton of money, but if you are one of the guys that are struggling a bit, some of these guys, it's not as much money as you would think for being a pro athlete.
No, and if you're missing cuts, you're spending a good amount of money. I think Bo talked about it, you know, 8 to 12K or something like that. I think I remember him saying for a week if you miss a cut. So I don't think, I mean, it depends on where you're staying, how many people, how much of your team is coming, but 5,000 is certainly going towards it. I don't know how many guys that's covering everything. But if you're a caddy for a big time bag, then you're going to probably have more of your contract riding on performance, 10% that you spoke of, where some of the kind of middle to lower guys, I mean, you can't, if you guys making cuts, you can't take 10% is not going to get the bills paid. So there's a flat amount plus 8% or something,
right,
whatever it might be. So you're paying your caddy something just to get there, even though you're not making money, and hotels for both of you, food, if your kids want to come, it can get up there real quick. So, I mean, for those guys, $5,000 is $5,000, but like, if you're just starting out on tour, young guy, I mean, everything makes a difference for sure. It's one less like member at your club back home that's got to be like fronting you.
You know what's funny too with this tournament that we were just at with the Tour Championship and FedEx, there's so much money involved in it that it's like every stroke, the difference between being 25th place and 18th place is a substantial amount of money.
Yeah, and it's also, I mean, it's just like they are, even though they don't have the money that the Live Tour has, they're now pushed to at least make the effort to do something.
Yes.
And that's what they're doing.
Totally agree with that.
And I don't know if it's just like we got to compete with the model as far as the competitive model, or even the money. It's just sort of like, all right, this group has come along and it's sort of rethinking the structure of professional golf, where it used to be the grind was just part of the business. Like, you had to go through the mini tours, you had to kind of get your reps in, you had to front yourself in the beginning and work on your game. There were no guarantees, and that's just how golf was. And now it's sort of like, all right, it's looking more like the other professional sports where guys are getting multi-year contracts. Like, they're getting guaranteed money so that they can go work on getting better and not in the prism of like feeding, like getting bills paid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's sort of like it's having to go back at Live, but it's also more just like Live is forcing them to sort of rethink the entire structure of everything.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like, regardless of what you think of Live, you can't deny the fact that it's made the PGA Tour rethink a whole lot of stuff, and even just golf. It's got people talking about golf, which is the good side of it.
Sure.
My only thing right now with Live, that, look, it may change, and again, we talked about that at the end of the year. We think a lot of people are going to go over there and whatnot. The thing is with Live, that it seems right now, if you do go over there, yes, you get the big payday, but in a way, your name kind of comes irrelevant.
I think it's a good point. I think when you take the competition aspect out of it, it doesn't mean like the drama, the like when you did you see in Memphis the tour, like the Zalatoris against Seth Straka, that playoff?
That was amazing.
Yeah.
You're just not gonna have that when the guys have the money. You know what I mean? Like that's real. It's like competition. It's like these guys are fighting for their spot.
Yes.
They haven't been paid. They're playing to get the money, and they're paying for the glory of winning the event, which doesn't exist. And I respect it. Trust me. If John does sports is going to pay me to come to Dubai, Bob, I'd have to think about it.
And he's not lying.
But I'm just saying.
Long and hard.
But I'm just
He's
saying.
not lying.
I would have to deal with becoming irrelevant.
Yeah, and right now, you are not irrelevant yet. That's for damn sure.
I'm
Right now,
pretty
you're a
irrelevant,
star.
but a guy like maybe Dustin Johnson or Brooks Koepka or Phil Mickelson dealing with becoming irrelevant might be a little harder than me.
Would you consider yourself a public figure, Benjamin?
It's not official till you put on your Instagram public figure, so no.
Yeah, actually, I have that. I feel like I should take that
Yeah, that's
off. I feel
horrific.
like it's kind of cringy.
You should do it.
Eek.
You hear
yeah,
that
I
whistle?
gotta- I
You
don't-
should do.
I did it a long time
You
ago.
should do it
That's
as a
pretty bad.
joke. You should do like Carnival or something.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of like that.
You are a Carnival.
Yeah, I mean, the whole operation here is a circus.
Yeah, absolutely.
But a really good one.
Robbie Berger Circus.
Yeah. I wonder, like, the Live Tour and the competition and things like that. I'm curious to see like how much time, if any amount of time, will do it before some of these Live events carry any sort of any sort of importance or weight, or like, did you see so and so won the
Bangkok
the
Open.
Portland, the Live Portland this year. And like
I saw it on
how, yeah, like how these events are going to like fall into an order of importance, because right now it's just sort of like the city. So like, are we ranking like?
Yeah, it's a good point.
How are our Live events? Because they can't all be if they're all worth the same prestige, then they're all worth nothing in my mind, right? So it's sort of like, how does one separate itself to be the memorial versus one kind of falls into like, well, I don't want like badmouth tournaments.
But you
know
also
what I'm saying?
also said, well, the thing with that is that it seems like it won't. I mean, I know it's early, who knows? But you also said that when they have if they get a TV deal and they're on TV on Sunday, then people are, you know what I mean? Then it's much more accessible. You're watching the tour, and the tour goes to commercial, and you're like, oh, the Live Tour's on. It's still Dustin Johnson. You know what I mean? Like it.
Yeah.
So I think that would make a big difference. And that's yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the TV deal will make it accessible, but like, how many years is it going to take for people? Like, I'll watch certain PGA Tour events or make sure that I catch the end of certain events, whereas if I miss these other events, I'm not so like bent out of shape about it, or like, it's not like sometimes like I got to get home to watch this event. And again, I'm not gonna badmouth any PGA events, but I think we all know like hierarchy. But like, how does that get created? And like, is it time? Is it like bringing a sponsor in? Is it like who won the event the last 2 years? Like,
yeah, I think
how do they fall into like an order of like is there going to be like, I'm sure they'll do like a season-ending live, tour championship type thing, but are they going to have like, and the majors will always be the majors, but I'm just curious to see how that's going to like happen.
I think what Jed said is true, though. I think the TV deal will change a lot, and supposedly they're about to sign like the biggest TV deal ever in TV history, which surprises me because I almost feel like Liv would almost have to pay the network when really that's not the case. But I don't know. I feel like I'd be so curious for the players that jumped ship early. You gotta think that some of the guys that took the money, and I don't think they even realized how, I guess you could say, irrelevant they would come, or just that people wouldn't care from a competition aspect. There's gotta be guys there that really regret it. Again, that could change, but for right now, you gotta think there is.
But again, they took the money. Like, that's the drop. They took the money.
Bad for them.
So and like you said, I think at the beginning there was real fear, at least from the tour side and from the player side. But then after like a month or two, the players kind of banded together, or whatever, 2 weeks, whatever it was. The players now are like, they're very opposed. They might not say it outright, but they're banding together to stop this from exploding, or to try to stop it from exploding, and they're doing their own thing. So I think there's less fear of it now.
You know what I could see Liv doing that I was thinking about the other day? I could see them going hard into the gambling side of things. And people have always talked about doing gambling at live events where you could like live bet gambling stuff, like Mark Cuban.
Like a kiosk or like an app on your own property
I could see them pulling something like that, like some sort of thing with the gambling. My thing too is, from a gambling perspective, and we've talked about it before, but I honestly think that golf has turned into my favorite sport to gamble on.
It's mine.
I really do. I think the Jet kind of got me going on that when he would come over on Sundays and I would watch him put bets in on a Sunday. I think it honestly is my favorite sport because you're not going to get odds that you can get anywhere else.
Sure. Yeah, it's a little bit more involved. It's a longer thing, right? If you're doing like round matchups
activity.
Or, you're waiting until Sunday to kind of like try to get some value on a guy. And then, you spend the whole, fourth round kind of rooting for your guy, which I guess that's kind of cool because there's so many different outcomes. Where like in a football game, it's like
and
I bet
big
the spread,
payouts.
and it's like
Also,
it's sort of like singular, where like you could put a bet in at plus 1,400 on a dude that's like a name, but he's like 3 back on Sunday, but then like some fucking random guy that was 6 back shoots fucking 61. And he's like in the clubhouse, and they've got holes left, and it's like no one gets in. It's like, how the fuck did that happen?
You remember when we were at the driving range the other day, and we saw Victor Hovland thin one ball, and we were just like, okay, we're gonna be betting against Victor Hovland.
Yeah.
Like he thinned. Jed just heard it. He's like, he thinned that. Like, didn't get it good.
Yeah.
Thinned.
Listen,
we're gonna be betting.
I know a thin shot. I've heard a lot of them, so I know it. But to your point, this year, at least on tour, every Sunday, somebody is coming from 4 or 5 behind. It's happened like 10 weeks. So it's like, if you just grab that guy in the morning, you never have to work again.
Jed,
you know what I mean?
Let's not get that into the viewers.
I'm just saying.
You're gonna have 18-year-olds just betting their life.
All right, well, we'll cut that.
Don't cut it.
This is not gambling advice. Yes, this is the disclaimer. This is where the little disclaimer pops up.
Justin Thomas won the PGA. He was like 7 back going into Sunday behind 6-7 guys or something.
Yeah, I mean, Cam Smith British Open, he was good bit back.
That was a painful one.
By the way, with the heckles with Justin Thomas, he's one of the guys that I have never been able to get to crack. Jordan Spieth was on that list. Now Spieth is all for it, which is awesome. We finally got a little something out of Justin Thomas the other day that was nice. Nothing crazy, but we got a little bit of acknowledgement.
You did. He gave you like a mix of like the split and the
split.
piece. So you hit it. You're like, I forget what you said. It was last second. He popped out of the tent.
Yeah,
he was like running down, and then you grabbed him. What did you say?
I said like the baby blues could be the difference. Something
he kept
about
walking,
his pants.
and then he like looked back and he did like almost like a gang sign. He just he mixed up like a bunch of stuff.
He tried to do like a hook 'em horns and then
a thumbs up. So it was like a 3-piece. It was it was a little weird, but
it was acknowledgement.
It was.
Yeah, it was.
Which
was really good to see.
It was.
But yeah, even from a betting standpoint too, like me and Cutsy got suckered into the trap the other week. JJ, like these guys, like you see on Sundays, like you see like where they like the cream always rises to the top, and it always separates like the guys who can win it, and then like the guys sometimes who just will fall back. Like we had JJ Spahn was in first place by like a stroke or two, and we were getting like plus 2,000. So me and Kutzi,
you got to take that.
Yeah, me and Kutzi were like, we have to take it. Like we have to take it. He just stroke up from the first few holes. He just immediately
shot 78.
Yeah, and just like, and then next thing you knew, like we were out of it. But again, like, where else can you get the leader at plus 2,000? Like you have to take that.
Have to. And he won an event this year. People forget that.
He did.
He's got a little sauce.
Yeah,
he could play.
Yeah. All right. Well, fellas, we got anything else here from Atlanta?
I don't think so. I think all around it was a great couple days out there. We got a lot done. You were inside the ropes a little bit with Cam Smith and Rory for a few holes yesterday, which was rowdy. First hole they both eagled, which was dope. Got the vibes up. Got people sending us like us in the background walking on PGA Live, which is ridiculous.
Incredible.
So I mean, I think all in all it was a great time. It's a small event. Right, you only got 30 players.
Say hi to Bill.
Hey, Bill.
Give Bill a little bit of loving right there. Why don't you pick Bill up there, Perez? Give him a little bit of loving there.
No interest. She won't be acting like this in a little bit. I'll tell you that. Belly rubs come around, but but yeah, I think it's.
Oh, there she goes. Give her some love. Give me.
Nope.
Ooh. That's like betting.
Give her some loving.
Come on. But yeah, I mean, like it's tough when there's only 30 players, right? Memphis was the first playoff event, so you still had pretty much a full field. So there was a lot going on in the practice rounds. We could kind of bump around and run into a bunch of players. When there's 30 guys, it's like the golf course is too big. The range is, there just was a lot less to it. I don't think we kind of stayed in one little bubble. But we got a lot.
It's really all we needed. What were you going to say, Jay?
I was going to say, Atlanta was great. It was a great time. August was great. We still have a bunch more videos coming out. We got more interviews lined up. The highlight of my trip was watching Fat Perez watch the end of Breaking Bad.
Yeah, how did we get to
I didn't even watch the TV. I just looked at his face. It was unreal.
Yeah, I've never been like a sit down watching TV kind of guy, but like I just finished Sopranos right before I started watching Breaking Bad. I hadn't ever seen either of them. So like it probably sounds ridiculous, but it's fantastic. So I just happened to be kind of at the last, 2-3 episodes when we got down here. And these guys found out about it and they're like, no, we're gonna watch those and see you watch these fucking episodes.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
I showed up for the last episode. I came downstairs. I can't. It was the first time in the longest time where I've just been able to just sit down and stay still and watch TV. I really enjoyed that.
You forget.
It was great.
It's like you'll never get to experience that for the first time again. And I was so envious of you when I heard you hadn't seen it. And like, I'm not a big TV show guy either. Breaking Bad is the fucking best.
It's
and
so
like
good.
Watching it over, I'll watch that finale. Like I'll watch it anytime. It just was like, oh, this is the fucking best. Like it doesn't get better than that.
Yeah, and to have everybody there was after a long day filming. We got so much in, and then we were just sitting there vibing. The big ticket was loving him some Breaking Bad. It was really great. I haven't done that in the longest time.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do now. Guess I'll watch that El Camino and then Better Call Saul.
I want to watch that. I want to watch that Manti Te'o documentary.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That thing looks
that's
wild.
Gonna be interesting.
Yo, Netflix, I swear, if you approach Netflix and you go like, hey, I have a documentary, they're just like, do it. Done.
Yeah. And I appreciate that.
No, I do too, but they're just slinging documentaries like hot dogs. Like,
you know what you said yesterday that I thought was so true?
What
when you think about it, with Netflix now and these big shows, they release the full series, everything, so you can binge watch it. But the talk of that show goes down so fast, like it ends so fast. Like you said, Squid Games.
And today's
people
day
love
and age,
Squid Games.
They love it for a month, and then it's Euphoria, and everybody watches Euphoria. Though Euphoria, I think, is like once a week, but people talk about it, and then it's the next thing, and the next thing. It used to be
that.
You would talk. You like that? I don't like
Game
that.
of Thrones does it. but there's
Black Mirror.
Yeah,
something like that.
and like because everybody watches all the shows, they all talk about it for a month, and then they're on to everything just moves so fucking fast.
It has to.
Yeah, we would need it, but there's a certain beauty to having the weekly thing where everybody gets excited for it the night before, people plan around it.
I think
really
it devalues. I don't want to say it like a show now is not as prestigious. I don't know. I feel like when they come out like that, everybody watches it and then it's over, and it's like it just doesn't have that
But
like
you really
love,
have to
that connection.
know that you're a good show to be able to. I think the way people consume it now, to do the once a week thing.
Yeah,
like HBO knows that this new Game of Thrones, like it knows Game of Thrones has it,
right?
And they'll do it with this new show, but it's really hard because you can't really catch. It's harder to catch somebody's full attention with one episode now.
Today, yeah.
You kind of have to like let them watch 2 or 3, then they're hooked. So it's almost like you put out a full season, and then like if it blows up, you like every season from then on is like a once a week release.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? To like get them captivated.
That's why we do Bob Does Sports once a week.
That's it.
But feel free to binge it.
Yeah. Feel free to
go back.
Feel free to go ahead and binge. Boys, we've been firing out a lot of content, and it's a beautiful thing. Again, the best fan base in the world.
100%.
Every Thursday, you know the drill. BobDoesSports.com if you want to rep the merch. We love you guys, and we appreciate you. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the podcast as well, which is booming, which is awesome to see. And again, that's thanks to you guys. That is the Jet right there to the left. Fat Perez to my right. That's a wrap here in Atlanta. Buckhead, Atlanta, I believe. Another edition, Bob Does Sports. We'll see you next time.